Fantasy Boyfriend, Part 1. Romantic Beginnings. Hey, nice to meet you. Please, come sit with me. It's been said that women love men to approach them if they're interested, or she finds the man interesting in return. Today, though, it's not that easy. Many women are turned off by men approaching them or messaging them online only because too many men approach a woman, and not always with the most wholesome of intentions. After a while, this can become a turnoff to women. Can you blame them? So with time, some women, if not most, just kind of grow cold to the idea of any man approaching them. Wow. Romance. It's already shot down in flames before it could ever get started. As a consequence, they wind up sitting there alone or with a friend, sipping their coffees or other beverages and wondering, will the right guy ever approach me? Where is he? I'm tired of going out alone to do things every day by myself. The single life stinks, and I'm not sold on how great it is anymore. When you long for someone to connect with? When will this prison sentence of relationship isolation end? I would like to fall in love, an emotional connection, experience deep romantic days and nights. But where does anyone go to find that experience? What does it look like? Who does it look like? I guess until lightning strikes, I'm left single, sad, alone, depressed, and somewhat bothered by it all. As they say, tomorrow is another day. Maybe tomorrow the man of my dreams, who I've been fantasizing about since I was a little girl, will walk right into my life. Until then, I guess I'll just keep fantasizing. It's all I have for now. Wow. Who can relate to this woman? Well, let's see what happens when someone does appear out of nowhere and into her life, and see how one man can change her life in ways she never experienced before in all the years she's been dating, looking for love, having sex, experiencing multiple broken hearts, and, well, you know how the story goes. So, one day, our sunken heart gal sat at a local coffee shop with her friend. It was a crowded scene of men and women. Amidst them all, she saw a rather good-looking man sitting there, alone, who kind of stood out to her. He stood out because he looked like he was quite content, just to be in his own world of thoughts and thinking deeply and reflecting on the day or tomorrow's future as he would slowly glance around the room while he wrote away with pen and paper. Interesting. He wasn't on his phone or talking to anyone in the room, and he wasn't gawking at the women walking by his table either. Sure, he noticed if they looked his way, and then with a gentlemanlike subtlety, he acknowledged their presence and went on with his work. So she then pondered, I wonder what he's like to talk to. And as she continued to check him out, his inner senses alerted him, and he looked directly at her. He smiled, and with a slight nod, he said, "Hello," without even saying a word. She smiled back, and for some reason, she couldn't seem to take her eyes off him. While this was going on, he held his gaze at her in such a way that she didn't feel threatened, or even think he could be one of those sleazy creeps you just see lounging around the room with their buddies. He's just sitting there, confident in his own space, knowing he doesn't want to upset her or make her feel uncomfortable at all, and he really seemed in no rush to do anything. He just looked down to finish his thought and made a few notes, and then looked up again at her. She continued to look at him, which again allowed for another connection between these two people, using only their eyes and a smile. He smiled again. This time, he gently chuckled, as if he were enjoying the attention from her. He stared at her long enough for him to make a slight gesture for her to come over and sit in the chair that was vacant at his table. The friend she was with was on the phone and distracted, so our curious gal took the opportunity to go sit with him. From there, the conversation kind of went like this. After names were exchanged with gentle handshakes, she noticed his hands were soft, warm, yet strong, as he grazed her hand for only a few seconds. This first physical connection with him made her want to shake his hand again, as silly as that might seem. It's been a while since someone who she showed an interest, somewhat interest in, touched her hand in the way he did. Wow, could this be the one? Stop kidding yourself. It's too early to tell, she thought to herself. He's certainly off to a great start, though. Let's see where this goes. Oh, thank goodness. My friend is still on the phone. I did wave to let her know that I'm okay talking to this man. She seemed okay and kept on talking. Good. Now I can focus on learning more about this man who I just came to sit with. Yeah, so she thought. So she then jumped to ask, so what are you writing? I mean, you seem so focused and writing a lot. If I may ask, what are you writing about? Doing something out of the ordinary, like writing with a pen and paper, when everyone else is pecking away on their phones and their computers and their laptops and tablets. This really helps for him to stand out of the crowd. Not to mention, he's also dressed rather nicely for just being in a coffee shop. Not overdressed, but dressed fashionably, which was very appealing to her. That is, compared to all the other guys in the room wearing shorts and t-shirts and tennis shoes, he stood out. So he replied, well, I'm writing notes that come to me for my next book. It's a romance novel, and my first. Wow, you write books? I love romance novels, she replied. Actually, it's not just romance, he said. It's also, it kind of contains, a bit of romantic erotica. But I assure you, it's nothing obscene or domineering. No, in fact, it's actually heavily laden with romance, love, sexy seduction, creative spontaneity, lots of smiles, curled lips, clasped hands while making love, multiple orgasms, and scenes most women probably wish they could experience in real life, but maybe never have. And I say that only because most of the women I know and talk to have never experienced what I'm actually writing about. I've never even heard them talk about it. I've never heard or seen anything like what I write about in movies, in books, or anywhere. Wow, I'm all ears. Tell me more, she said. Well, since you asked, and thank you for asking. As I said, I like to take my readers to places they've never been, experience things they've never experienced. It helps me sometimes to just come to places like this, or anywhere, where I can just be alone with my thoughts. I people watch and daydream for inspiration, particularly in places where no one knows me. That is until someone like you pops over to my table and strikes up a conversation, which I'm very glad you did. Hey, I saw you when you walked in and sat down with your friend. So, hey, what brings you here? And, if I may ask, are you in love? In love? I wish, she said. I asked that question, as he replied back to her, to people all the time when I talk about my writing. Because isn't that what we all want? To find someone to love, be loved, to share intimate moments of growth and intimacy in life with. The stuff you can't order online or have delivered to your doorstep or go down to the grocery store and pick it up off the shelf or take home. She replied, well, the way you put it, I guess I've never been in love. I mean, I've been in relationships before. I was in love once, kinda, but it didn't last. Since then, it's been hard to find someone I can truly connect with. It just seems like romance and love is dead these days. Everyone just wants to hook up or wants it, sex all the time, or isn't emotionally available. I mean, I want a relationship that will last as long as the Century City Mall construction. Century City Mall? What's that? He asked. Oh, it's near me. It's where I live. It's a mall that was under construction like forever. Oh, I know what you mean. And I know that mall. That's why I'm writing this book, to help ignite that romantic spark inside each and every one of us that we all want to have in our lives. And yet so many have yet to experience it, or sadly, never have, or for some reason, never will. So many women, for example, have either been treated poorly in relationships or never taken to heights where intimacy is concerned. That, to me, is where life really develops into its true meaning. Not just a connection, but a real close bonding, a oneness in the flesh with someone you want to be with. Yeah, but who doesn't want that? But for so many people, me included, that just sounds like a fantasy. Exactly. Sounds like a great title for a book, doesn't it? What if I told you that my romance book involved sort of a fantasy boyfriend type of character in it? Would that make you want to read it and learn what a true boyfriend could be like? Even if he were just a fantasy boyfriend. Oh, absolutely. Is it done? Can I read it? When will it be done? I'll be your first book customer. Will you autograph it too? Absolutely. The book will be done as soon as it gets done. I'm kidding. Actually, I think I'm a few weeks away from finishing it. Then I get it edited, order a proof copy in print, read through it again for any last-minute corrections, make those corrections, and resubmit the book back to the printer for a final printing. Sounds exciting, she replied. Hey, I have an idea. How would you like me to read some of it to you before I go to print? Really? I'd love that. How do I do that? Well, you give me your phone number or a way to contact you. I call you and I read some of it to you over the phone, or hey, we can even do a Zoom call or meet in person again, and I could just read to you in person. Wow, you'd read to me over Zoom? That sounds like fun, actually. It is fun. As I read to you, I could gauge your interest and observe your facial reactions. Perhaps we might talk about a certain section that I wrote about, and I'd love your feedback. Sure, yeah. My phone number is 555-33-1955. Here, take my phone and type it in. Oh, okay. Wow, he has a very nice phone. Very clean. No cracks or smudges. And he comes off really organized. I like that. So she thought. Great. I'm going to call you right now. Her phone rang. I'll just hang up after I answer it. Sure, no problem. I'm going to add you to my contacts. Just type your name in my phone here, and then I'll text you back with my name so you can add me to your phone. You're not going to turn into one of those, some kind of creepy romantic or love-thirsty author stalkers, are you? She smiled as she made that comment, hoping that it's actually true, in this case, as she'd like to be stalked by this good-looking man. I only stalk women on Thursdays, and because I have your number, I'll text you before I stalk you, he replied with a smile. Great, I look forward to that, laughing at his quick sarcasm. So, what's a great time for me to call you so I can read some of my romance book to you? Well, I'm free tonight, if you want to call. I've got no plans. Great. How does 8 o'clock tonight sound? We might need an hour or two. I also don't want to keep you up too late. I'm a night owl myself and need to watch it so that I don't keep people late into, the nighttime, because they might want to go to sleep. As they say, or it's an expression that I've heard, the daytime is the fine time, but the nighttime is the right time. Yes, 8 is fine. I'm looking forward to it. Say, I'd love to stay and chat some more, but I think my friend, she's giving me that look like we gotta go. So it's really been nice meeting you, and I look forward to tonight. Call me. Likewise. As he stood up to see her leave the table, I'll call you tonight, he said to her in a calm and deep and yet very romantic tone. She headed back to her table where her friend was waiting to hear about this guy she was talking to. Hey, sis, so who was that guy you were talking to? Well, you got on the phone, and I started looking around the room, and I just saw him sitting there alone. You didn't seem to mind, and he just smiled at me and gestured for me to come sit at his table. I thought, you're here. I didn't have to stay long if he was weird. And surprisingly, he writes books. He's writing a romance novel right now. He's going to read some of it to me tonight on the phone. Wow, that sounds kind of strange, but I guess it could be pretty cool. Let me know how it goes. Come on, we gotta go. All right, sure. As she got up from the table, she made one more glance his way to wave goodbye. He followed that gesture and waved right back. A simple wave, nothing grand, and another smile, nothing too overt.